This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball, and tonight the road trip takes us to Northern California. Game 1 of 3 on Fox Sports Midwest. The San Francisco Giants playing host to the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals will face right-hander Tim Lincecum. Last time out here at AT&T Park, he made history. His second career no-hitter as he defeated, for the second time in a no-hit fashion, the San Diego Padres. 1 walk, struck out 6. No hits in 9 innings for Tim Lincecum. He goes tonight. Marco Gonzalez, the rookie, will go for St. Louis. That's Tim McCarver. I'm Dan McLaughlin. And beginning tonight, we have 2 teams that really need to turn things around.
Well, I should say especially the Cardinals, who had a woeful offensive June, and they hope to usher in July behind the youthful exuberance of Oscar Taveras, who's starting tonight in right field.
So Oscar is in the lineup, and you talk about youth. The Cardinals have that with Marco Gonzalez getting the start as well. The fans have spoken. We'll talk about all-star balloting and Cardinals history. Maybe with that man, Yadier Molina. That's coming up a little later. Rick and Pat next. million votes over catcher Jonathan Lucroy of the Brewers. Voting continues through July 3rd. The game will be seen on Fox. And Yadi's trying to join an exclusive group. Both Albert Pujols and Ozzie Smith were elected by the fans 4 different times or more. Yadi looking for his 4th selection by the fans and 6th time overall. We have Cardinals baseball coming up. Yadi is in the lineup against Tim Lincecum and the Giants. Game 1 coming up on Fox Sports Midwest. Come in and visit Mid-American Chevy dealers and make your move to Chevrolet today. And by Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Along with Tim McCarver and Jim Hayes, Dan McLaughlin with you. We're in San Francisco. 3rd and final stop on this road trip that has taken us to Denver, Colorado, Los Angeles, and now San Francisco. And the wind may be a factor here tonight. You see it at 18 miles per hour. And it looks like, Tim, right center could be busy tonight.
Yeah. Well, it usually is in this ballpark, but you still got to hit it a ton to get it out in right center.
Cool temperatures, 60 degrees here in Northern California. And a lineup that hopefully will change for Mike Matheny in terms of production in the month of July. Matt Carpenter will lead it off. Oscar Taveras called back up. He'll bat second, play right field. Then Johnny Peralta, Matt Adams, Yadier Molina. Good numbers against tonight's starter for the Giants. Tim Lincecum, .412 average. Alan Craig shifts from right to left. John Jay in center. The second baseman is San Francisco native Daniel Descalso. Marco Gonzalez, his second major league start. Well, Tim Lincecum turned 30 back on June 15th. And he'd love to say, well, I'm in the same class as Johnny Vandermeer. You never know.
Hey, never know. Johnny Vandermeer. It's been 178 no-hitters since Vandermeer's second one in 1938 while pitching for the Cincinnati Reds.
Last week it was a no-hitter. 4-0 win over San Diego right here at AT&T Park. And he threw 113 pitches in that game. The previous no-hitter, Tim, he had thrown 148 pitches. And then his next start, he was roughed up in one of his shortest outings of his year. And it wound up being one of the shortest outings of his career.
Interestingly, Tim Lincecum with 2 no-hitters with 2 different catchers. Buster Posey caught his first no-hitter down in San Diego. And tonight's catcher, Hector Sanchez, behind the plate for Lincecum again tonight.
Buster Posey playing first base. Sanchez behind the plate. That pitch is taken high. Matt Carpenter among leadoff men. 8th in runs in Major League Baseball. 4th in on-base percentage, and he leads the club in both those categories. The Cardinals struck out 13 times Sunday against Clayton Kershaw. Matt Carpenter, by the way, had 3 hits. Let's take it high and away, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike.
I think Clayton Kershaw had the best stuff that I've seen of any pitcher, any starting pitcher or relief pitcher this year on Sunday against the Cardinals.
He was unbelievable.
Overwhelming.
3-1 the count on Carpenter. And he takes a strike, and it's 3-2. And it's a leadoff walk, and that has been an issue for Tim Lincecum this year. Control and an awful lot of walks by the right-hander. Michael Morse is in left. Juan Perez is in center. Hunter Pence, his 255th consecutive start. That's most currently in Major League Baseball. He's in right. Sandoval, Crawford, Hicks, and Posey along the infield. Sanchez behind the plate. Lincecum is now walked against left-handed batters, 25 of them, as opposed to 12 against righties. And Mike Matheny stacking up his lineup full of lefties tonight, including Oscar Taveras, who's back in the big leagues. And Oscar turned 22 while he was away back on June 19th.
Very difficult for a young hitter to be facing a guy like Tim Lincecum.
And check swing, 0-2.
Because of that, you can't pick him up. I mean, you have to try not to jump at the endless supply of body parts Tim Lincecum throws at you, and pick out the ball. Elbows, knees, hips.
0-2, and that swung on and missed, and a strikeout of Oscar Taveras. Well, he's clearly not a big guy, Tim, as you mentioned, but listed at 5'11", 170. And as you said, he's got that unorthodox delivery, elbows, legs, everything coming at you, and some nasty stuff.
Yeah. The normal stride length, about 77 to 88% of a pitcher's height. Well, with Lincecum, instead of it being 88%, it's 129%, or like that of a 7.5-foot tall man.
When I watch him, this stride reminds me of Roy Oswalt, a guy that's not very tall, but
well, that is a great comparison. Never thought of that, but you're right.
That drops in for a strike to Johnny Peralta.
Tilt, dangle, and reach. Those are the 3 things his father taught him at the age of 4. Look at that stride. That's why he's affectionately known as the Freak.
And his dad, Chris, a former worker at Boeing. These are the mechanics that he still uses today. As you mentioned, at the age of 4, taught that unique way to throw the baseball, and the idea was to get his legs involved and use it for power. His dad pitched minor league baseball. His brother has done so as well. And Peralta waves at it, and it's 0-2.
We've seen 2 swings in the last 5 strikes. A check swing from Taveras, and now this swing on the splitter from Peralta. Just very difficult to pick up. He's not a hard thrower. Right around 92, 93 maybe. But a good split finger fastball. Occasional slider. He will use the cutter.
Remember when he first came up, he was consistently around the mid-90s. And as you mentioned, that velocity has dropped over the years, but still, in a way, reinventing himself. He's throwing the split finger a little bit more this year and has had great success with that pitch. Again, a check swing, and he did not go. Peralta with 22 doubles, that leads the club. Also 11 home runs. That's tops for St. Louis. 33 of his 68 hits this year have gone for extra bases. Peralta hits into a lot of double plays. You wonder if the Cardinals would want to start Matt Carpenter here. And we'll see what Mike Matheny wants to do. Carpenter, great jump off with a pitch, and it's popped up. Second baseman Brandon Hicks, 2 away. Calling the balls and strikes, Ed Hickox. Lance Barrett is at first base. Ron Culpa, the St. Louis, in at second. Dana DeMuth is the crew chief. Speaking of no-hitters, if there's a guy that knows a thing or two about no-hitters and being an umpire and being involved in this, it's the man behind the plate. He was behind the plate for Matt Garza's no-hitter, Homer Bailey's, and he's been at one of the bases for Buchholz, Abbott's.
That's 4.
Jared Weaver's.
Wow, that's 5.
So he's been all over the place.
Man.
Here's Matt Adams. 16 games because of injury for Adams, and he had 16 RBIs. And the shift is on here for Matt.
You notice since that walk to Carpenter, with every hitter, Taveras, Peralta, and Adams, the first 2 pitches have been strikes. Talking about reinventing himself, that's exactly what he does. He corrects himself very quickly. He's a remarkable athlete. Lincecum, that is. Walks on his hands. Do a flat-footed backflip, which bothers me just to think about that.
Me too. Well, they said his dad came home one day and Lincecum said, I want to try out for the golf team, and really never even played or picked up a golf club and went out and made the team. Made the cut by 1. They said he's just a remarkable athlete, like you said.
He really is.
Neither one of these teams shifts all that much. Cardinals have shifted 181 times, and the Giants at 180. And Mike Matheny saying over the weekend to us at Dodger Stadium, he'd like to see Adams just show bunt. Put one down potentially. Now, not in this situation, but
not with 2 strikes,
obviously.
Of course.
Right. Adrian Gonzalez did that against the Cardinals as Adams hits it out to left field. And Michael Morse is there. Leadoff walk to Carpenter, and he's left stranded. Marco Gonzalez to the mound when we come back. good numbers against St. Louis. Hector Sanchez, Brandon Crawford, Brandon Hicks, the second baseman, batting 8th. Tim Lincecum will bat 9th for the Giants in this lineup. Our key starter is the lefty, Marco Gonzalez.
Major League debut last Wednesday right near his hometown of Fort Collins, Colorado. 5 innings of work, 5 earned runs given up, but that was in 1 inning. So Marco here at AT&T Park in San Francisco.
Center fielder Juan Perez leads it off. Giants really missing a couple of key components for their lineup, one being Brandon Belt, the other being Angel Pagan, who was told prior to the game tonight to go see a specialist in Los Angeles for a bulging disc in his back. It's pinching a nerve, and we thought both Pagan and Belt would be in the lineup tonight. Brandon Belt more than likely doesn't return until Friday for Bruce Bochy's club because he was hit by a pitch on his thumb and still trying to come back from that, and it's still sore. Here's a 2-1 pitch to Perez. That's pulled foul past Tim Flannery.
4 straight fastballs from Gonzalez. An excellent changeup. He likes to throw that in fastball counts, obviously with excellent control over the change.
The 2-2. And a ground ball hit to second base. Descalso, 1 away. Cardinals defense with Craig in left, John Jay in center, and Oscar Taveras is in right. Matt Carpenter, Johnny Peralta, Descalso, and Adams along the infield. Molina is behind the plate. Cardinals believe that Craig is a better left fielder than he is right fielder, and he's played quite well in right.
His arm's more suitable for left field, however. Doesn't have a strong arm that a right fielder should have because of that right field to third base throw. Most of the left fielder's throws are to second, third, home, of course. That right fielder, because of that tougher throw to third base, that's why they need the stronger arm.
Good late movement, tailing back in on that pitch. Gonzalez to Hunter Pence, who's hitting .293, 11 home runs. He's driven in 30.
You know, Dan, it seems so far that in the early going, Marco Gonzalez is throwing harder than he did last Wednesday.
Completely agree. There's a broken bat lifted out to left, and Craig is there for the second out. Yeah, I've noticed that too. A little extra zip on it.
Yeah.
Which you would think then would offset the changeup even more.
Oh, absolutely. The harder you throw, the better your change. Hitters have a tendency to swing at that arm movement, that arm motion.
One of the great players in the game, Buster Posey, and also one of the hottest hitters in the National League. He hit .362 in June, third best in the NL. Mike Matheny talking about Marco Gonzalez in his last start. He said, I don't think we could have constructed a tougher test for him. Major League debut, family and friends, and at Coors Field. 1-2-3 inning, and the former Giant, Mike Matheny, happy with this start. No score after 1. They're enjoying some great crowds. Yadier Molina leads it off. Their 292nd consecutive sellout tonight. That's longest in the major leagues. Love this ballpark.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Really is.
Beautiful city. Great tradition. Great franchise. Coming out here, of course, with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Horace Stoneham went north to San Francisco, and Walter O'Malley took the Dodgers south to Los Angeles.
Relocated 1958, and Walter O'Malley would not be able to head to Los Angeles without someone else coming with him.
That's right.
Major League Baseball said to the O'Malley family, not just one team, two have to go, and here they are. And you've got two historic franchises squaring off here tonight as Molina swings through that pitch.
Well, again, now Oscar Taveras, Johnny Peralta, and now Molina swinging. These are major league hitters, and it's very difficult, and you judge that reaction by these hitters against Lincecum, and another at the fastball up out of the strike zone.
Second strikeout for Tim Lincecum. Alan Craig will be the hitter as we turn to our Toyota keys to the game.
And it's pretty clear for the Cardinals. Forget June and move on. June gloom offensively.
It was the first time in a 4-game series in Los Angeles that the Cardinals had only scored 4 runs. Now, granted, they ran into some great pitching.
Great pitching.
However, this has been now more so than just a few weeks. You're in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
This is becoming an issue if you're Mike Matheny.
Yes, it is.
Hit 235 for the month of June. Off the glove of Lincecum. No hitter for Tim tonight. Base hit for Alan Craig.
Even though he did touch that ball backhanded, we talk about his athletic prowess. And after he had followed through, watch his glove hand right here behind the back. He made contact, but trickling through. So Alan Craig, one out here in the second inning. Chance for the Cards to get something going here.
John Jay is 3 for 18 on the trip at batting .296.
Well, one thing that stands out, it seems to me, through the first half of the season is getting early runners on. Cardinals have had a lot of 2-out base runners, a lot of 1-out base runners. It's so much more difficult to score when your base runners are not your leadoff guys. Getting that leadoff runner on, the chances go dramatically higher.
Posey to second, back to first. Lincecum is there, no double play. Nice turn by Brandon Crawford, who's a very good defensive player at short.
Strong arm that allows him to go in the hole to his right. Coming to his left here, a good feed by Posey, but John Jay out of the box in a hurry. You know, I look at Buster Posey down there, a catcher normally. This is his 13th start at first base. There are two problems you have if you're a catcher and you move to first. Jay beating this play easily. The first one is you're used to the action not starting until you put something down. It's strange. And secondly, on balls in the dirt, you're used to blocking those balls, not catching them. You're trained to block them. And now all of a sudden, you're in a position where you have to catch the ball.
Joe Mauer was talking about this last year, exactly that point. He said, you know, you've got a third baseman or shortstop, they go deep in the hole, for instance, a shortstop, and he throws a one-hopper to you. And there's a fly ball off the bat of Descalso, and he said, my first inclination is to get on both knees and block it. He said it was really hard for him to do.
No more blocking. You're playing with a different mitt.
Descalso flies out to left, and there's no score. Jim, biggest news the Cardinals have made in the last 24 hours, the recall of Oscar Taveras.
Yeah, Oscar told me before the game that he feels he's better prepared to have success this time around. He told me in the big leagues, fastballs are faster and major league pitchers have better control. He feels he knows better what to expect this time. He said the takeaway from his first time in the big leagues, he's got to be more careful about what to swing at and also what to lay off of. And Dan, that's easy to say, tougher to do for a young player.
Yeah, and the Cardinals felt that he was not overmatched at any point, although he did not hit well when he was up first time through. 11 games, hit 189. A couple of guys nursing back from injury, Jim, as we look at Pablo Sandoval against the lefty Gonzalez, and he rips it into right for a base hit. There's Taveras. We'll start with Colton Wong and then Joe Kelly. What do we know about the second baseman?
Colton Wong got his first rehab start for Memphis tonight, and it was a good one, a double and a 3-run homer. The Cards medical staff had said that Colton's shoulder showed great progress over the past few days. I would guess so, because his first game of rehab, he had a big one, Dan.
And finally, Lance Lynn, how is he feeling, and is he scheduled to make his next start?
Yeah, Lance Lynn had that callus ripped off the middle finger of his throwing hand in his last start, and he's been applying this concoction that supposedly will add a layer of protection. He threw a bullpen today, and he says it's feeling much better. Also, Joe Kelly, by the way, Dan, his second rehab start for Memphis tonight, and it went well. 4 scoreless innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, a total of 49 pitches. And Joe Kelly texted me and said he feels like tonight's start was a big step forward for him.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Jim. Here's Michael Morse, who's grounded into a team-high 11 double plays. The Giants left fielders last year finished last in the major leagues with a total of 5 home runs. 5 from their left fielders, so they went out to get Michael Morse and some power.
And he is obliged. With 13 home runs, he leads the Giants in homers and RBIs.
Gonzalez steps and throws out there. Perfect lead to Peralta. And Michael Morse is grounded into his 12th double play.
That pitch had to be 6 inches outside. Looked like a changeup from Gonzalez and used very effectively. Look how far this ball is outside off the end of the bat. Gonzalez, an excellent fielder, we understand. Easy double play to get Morse.
The switch hitting catcher Hector Sanchez. Well, that's good news about Colton Wong from the Cardinals'
and better
perspective.
News about Joe Kelly.
No question. So quick turnaround for Joe. Made a rehab start Friday. Does so again, as Jim mentioned, close to 50 pitches tonight. You would think maybe one more rehab assignment and potentially see him back in the big leagues. Positioned perfectly was the second baseman Descalso, and he makes the play. Leadoff base hit erased on the double play. Sanchez grounds out. We head to the third. Photo shown on a telecast. So just send us your photos using the hashtag STOFanPhoto. It's Marco Gonzalez, Matt Carpenter, and Oscar Taveras against the freak, Tim Lincecum. He was a 10th overall pick in 2006 after putting up remarkable numbers at the University of Washington. From the great Northwest, he went to Washington because they said they would not mess with his mechanics. Only reason he signed to play there is Marco Gonzalez chops it to the right side, and another guy from the great Northwest in terms of college career, Gonzaga, taps it to the second baseman, Brandon Hicks. A reminder, fireworks this Friday at the ballpark. Also, the replica ring giveaway. Fireworks presented by Cooper Tires. Only place to see him in downtown St. Louis will be Busch Stadium. Carpenter walked his first time up. And first time through the lineup, Lincecum, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, 1 hit allowed. ...148 pitches in the first no-hitter. That was the most since Vida Blue threw 153 in 1979. Vida Blue, a former MVP and Rookie of the Year, the early 70s.
Pitched on those great Oakland teams. We talked about it during our last broadcast. World champions, 72, 3-4. You've got more than a shot of going to the postseason this year. They are good right across the bay.
Clear day like we had this afternoon. You get to the ballpark, you can actually see the Coliseum across the bay. Bad stadium situation or not, they can flat out play. And Carpenter lifts a fly ball into center field.
Oakland Alameda Coliseum is right next to the Oracle Arena where the Warriors play. And the Warriors will be moving here to San Francisco sometime within the next 2 years. I think they had a spot for an arena near the ballpark here, down about a mile toward the base of Market Street.
Right.
And I think they canceled that after a couple of months of work, and they've moved that arena site.
Oscar Taveras 0 for 2 as he grounds out to second, and Brandon Hicks. There you can see it, even on a clear evening here in San Francisco. No score. Hometown grocer for 75 years. Head to Jack in the Box for the new jalapeno ranch or barbecue ultimate cheeseburgers at participating restaurants. And by 5 Hour Energy, recognizing those who, despite their own needs, put others first. Very pleasant night here in San Francisco. We were talking about during the break the potential back in the early 90s that the Giants would leave and head to Tampa Bay. And there's a famous picture of one of the biggest Giants fans at the time, a kid named Brandon Crawford, at a rally holding up a sign saying, "Please don't go." He grew up a Giants fan, now playing shortstop. He's been a part of a couple of championship teams. Just think if they would have left. Look at what we're seeing here tonight. One of the great scenes in all of baseball, this ballpark, the sellouts, a team that's winning for the most part, obviously in a rut right now, but
like St. Louis, a huge fan base.
No question.
Brandon Crawford, his parents were season ticket holders. I think they still are.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
The 2-1 pitch, and taken for a strike, evens it up at 2-2.
That's a good pitch from Gonzalez. No left-hander's going to hit that pitch. Fastball running away from them right on the corner.
Gonzalez has allowed a base hit. That was to Pablo Sandoval. He was erased on a double play. That's taken low, and it's a full count. 3-2 on the shortstop of the Giants. Then Brandon Hicks, the 8th place hitter. Tim Lincecum, the pitcher, batting 9th. And it's a leadoff walk. He just missed. Star Wars night is coming up at Busch Stadium Wednesday, July 9th. Experience the transformation of the ballpark. It's Star Wars night. Takes a special theme ticket. Head to cardinals.com/theme.
I remember Fred Bird well in that movie.
Oh, yeah? Fred Bird in Star Wars, huh? I'd like to see the version that you saw. The pitch has popped up. Adams battling the wind, and now Descalso battling it. It drops, and they'll get the lead man. Well, we thought that the wind could be a factor, and it was certainly on that play.
Good call, Dan. You talked about the wind earlier. Boy, that thing, I mean, this is reliving a night in Candlestick Park.
Oh, man.
Right down the road, about 5 miles from here. Very alertly, Descalso trailing Adams into foul territory. The ball ended up about 15 feet fair.
Yeah, Adams started a good, I'd say, 10 to 15 feet going towards the dugout. In foul territory, and as you mentioned, about 10 or 15 feet fair. That's about when he realized I'm in big time trouble here, and Descalso bailed him out. Heads up play. So you get Brandon Hicks at first base and Lincecum at the plate. And here comes an 0-1 pitch by Gonzalez with Carpenter cheating in. A strike on the outside corner. The Giants are out of first place for the first time since April 24th. A terrible stretch of baseball in June.
Dodgers winning yesterday have gained 10 games on the Giants. 10. Good curveball from Gonzalez. His stuff is a lot crisper tonight than it was last Wednesday. Understandably.
Really didn't have a feel for his breaking ball.
Absolutely not. No.
And tonight it's a different looking story, as you mentioned. It's a better fastball, and he possesses a very good changeup. Lincecum gets it down. Carpenter will go to second out there and save it first, so they'll get the lead man.
Good play by Matt Carpenter, just daring Lincecum to swing the bat. See how shallow he is. Came up throwing. Good play.
So Lincecum stands at first with 2 outs, and it brings in Juan Perez. Mentioned that Pagan is out of this lineup, and over the last 3 years, Tim, the Giants are 39 games above 500 when Angel Pagan is in there, 13 below when he's out.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie, do they? He is the catalyst to this offense. Speed at the top. Talked about Tim Lincecum reinventing himself. Angel Pagan has done that with the Giants. Whole new career.
There's a good changeup, 0-2. Brandon Belt changed his swing, really worked on it in the offseason, trying to pull the ball more, hit home runs. Well, he had 9 home runs in 35 games. So he's reinvented himself too. So big losses in this lineup. The 0-2 to Juan Perez. The fastball misses in. And he got him a strikeout. First of the night for Marco Gonzalez. We're through 3. No score here in San Francisco. Now working in St. Louis on radio, on ESPN Radio 101 with Randy Carricker and DeMarco Farr, and one of the characters of that 2006 team. You wouldn't know it, but Brad Thompson. He is a funny guy.
Yeah, so real good guy.
Really is. Tim Lincecum has allowed 1 base hit. That was Alan Craig back in the 2nd inning. The history of this ballpark, history of these franchises. Giants have won 22 pennants, and here's a look at stretch. That's Willie McCovey.
Speaking of good guys.
Yeah.
What do you say, Tim?
Here's a fly ball lifted to shallow right, over near the line, and out of play.
Bob Gibson, when I call Bob, he still greets me with that, what do you say, Tim?
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Willie used to, I used a 31-ounce bat when I came up. And he took the bat one day and he said, Tim, I picked my teeth with bats this light. and the next day at Candlestick, I came to the ballpark my first full year in 1963, and he had my bat in his mouth.
Seriously.
Yeah, kidding that he picked his
smokes.
teeth with a bat that small. And I mean, I fell out.
They say, as the catcher was shook up on that play, Sanchez, that 1966, which was the first year of Busch Stadium 2, Willie McCovey put one over the scoreboard in right. Now,
foul Jackson.
McGuire
hanging curveball
is measured at 545 feet. And for fans that remember, when McGuire was in his heyday, they put the Band-Aid on the St. Louis Post-Dispatch sign. That's supposedly the longest home run in Busch Stadium history. However, others, before these measurements came out and how they do it, they say Willie McCovey potentially has the longest home run ever in Busch Stadium, too.
I didn't see Mark McGuire's, but it would be hard for me to imagine a ball hit any harder or farther than the one Stretch hit that day.
He said it's the hardest ball he's ever hit, was the one at Busch Stadium.
Trust me, it was. I was 2 feet from contact.
Isn't that great, though? He comes to just about every single game.
He does.
Occasionally, Willie Mays will be here.
He's one of the dearest men. I mean, you know, there's something about men who were created that are so big, that are bigger than life, but yet so genteel and such a big heart. I mean, he is just a wonderful human being, hugely popular here in the Bay Area.
I wanted to go out with Tim McCarver last night for dinner, and he said, well, maybe another night because I'm going out with a guy named Cepeda. You were with Orlando Cepeda last night.
We had dinner last night, yeah.
And how's he doing?
He's doing great. He and his wife Miriam flew to Puerto Rico today, and he'll be at the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown to welcome Joe Torre, Tony La Russa, Bobby Cox, Frank Thomas, Tommy Glavine, and Greg Maddux at the end of the month.
Cepeda traded for Joe Torre.
Actually, Cepeda was traded for Joe Torre in the spring of 1969 after we obtained his services, talking like a GM, for Ray Sadecki in 1966. Trading deadline then was June 15.
And correct me if I'm wrong. So 67, which obviously was a great year. But one of the major moves that had to be made is that you get Roger Maris, you add Cepeda, and I've talked to Red Shandies about this. I said, if you look back at 67, is there a move or two, or is there something with that team that stands out? And I don't know if fans remember, but certainly Mike Shannon, he said moving.
No question.
Learning third base in his mind. This is Red Shandy saying this. That's a broken bat and a base hit for Johnny Peralta, who is thinking two and slipping on the play. Pence and Peralta, who leads the club in doubles now with his 23rd. But he said Mike Shannon agreeing to move to third base was the key to that season.
To clear right field for Roger Maris.
Exactly.
There's no question about it. I did a Camo X show last night and said that same thing.
Is that right?
Mike Shannon moving to third was the key that year. Johnny Peralta running hard out of the box turned this into a double. Slowed down rounding first, but if he doesn't run hard out of the box by slowing down rounding first, then it's too late to go to second base. Good base running by Peralta. That's where doubles and triples are created, in the box, not on the bases.
I think Shannon finished second to Cepeda in RBIs in 67.
I think that's right.
You eventually would win that over Boston. 67, 68, another team that made it to the World Series but did not win. Now Matt Adams, who flied to left, breaks his bat and a base hit. Peralta had to make sure that got through. Runners at the corners, and the first two have reached here in the top of the fourth for St. Louis.
You know, you can check the outfielders. The one thing you can't do is you can't check the infielders behind you. You don't know where the second baseman is. So on a line drive, you stop. Now Peralta turning around, finds that Crawford can't get to it, and then he goes to third, but with nobody out, understandably. Too late to come home.
Now it's Yadier Molina. Neither team has had success lately with runners in scoring position. This has been a big issue with both clubs.
But this is the key for the Cardinals.
Yep.
They have nobody out with 2 runners on. Early base runners.
Batting .280 with runners in scoring position. Molina struck out swinging first time up. And that one caught the catcher again, Hector Sanchez.
Boy, I missed that.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Looks like a barrel lapse. A lot of fun. Oh. Mike Matheny, of course, his career cut short here in San Francisco because of foul tips, concussions.
In 2006, he started the year, and I think it was around the early part of August, right?
Yeah. And he was, speaking of Willie McCovey, he was the Willie Mack winner in 2006, and that's the most inspirational player on the team here in San Francisco, and he won that award. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike. As crazy as it sounds, this may be one of the bigger pitches in the game right here. 2-1 the count. Runners at the corners. We've talked about the issues both teams have had with runners in scoring position. Here's a very good opportunity on this pitch to Molina.
Lincecum knowing that through the splitter, and a good one. It doesn't matter whether they're early innings or not, Dan, to reinforce your point.
And Molina hit by the pitch.
Game situations can come early, they can come late. Well, Lincecum livid, and he has every right to be. That ball got away from him too far inside to Molina.
Well, Lincecum coming into play, 7 wild pitches, 5th most in the National League, 18 walks in his last 7 starts. And he has walked a man tonight to start the game. That was Carpenter.
There's nobody. Did you notice that look on Lincecum's face? There's nobody that shows disdain for someone coming to the mound any more than Tim Lincecum.
Yeah.
That
Notice
look, that what are you doing out here look.
Well, what are you going to tell him? I mean,
yeah,
he's a
well,
two-time
you're right. You're
Cy
right.
Young Award winner.
I couldn't agree with you more.
You know?
Too many meetings on the mound.
So bases loaded for Craig, who singled and picked up the first Cardinal hit back in the 2nd inning.
Jim Cott used to say a hitter swings and misses. The hitting coach doesn't get him, take him out of the batter's box and have a meeting with him.
I never thought of it that way. And a strike to Craig. I'm curious what you think about this. You know, John Jay being pushed by Peter Borges. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. You wonder with Taveras being brought up, is there a sense of urgency with guys like Craig and Holiday now?
There's always a sense of urgency, particularly when the Cardinals had that woeful June like they had. Alan Craig led the team in base hits with 27. Think about that. That's not a lot of hits.
No.
Over a 30-day period. A couple of off days mixed in there, but it's about 1 a game. And Allen led the team in hits.
Right.
So
he's hitting .282 with runners in scoring position.
just a horrible month. The Cardinals trying to get rid of that in the rearview mirror, put it behind them tonight.
Finish up the road trip Thursday against the Giants, then back home. And the Marlins will be in town over the weekend. 0-2 the count. The inning started with a double by Peralta, a single by Adams. Molina with 2 strikes on him, hit by the pitch. 0-2 on Craig. Craig strikes out. Third strikeout from Lincecum.
Or just a wicked splitter. Take a look at the pitch by pitch to Alan Craig. First pitch, a fastball right down the middle. You'd like to have that 0-1 pitch back. A couple of foul balls. Then he lets the splitter go and then bites.
Cardinals have not seen Tim Lincecum pitch against them since 2011. He's had good numbers in his career as Jay looks at a strike. 5-1 ERA under 3. Bases loaded. 0-1 pitch to Jay. Now 0-2. Its split finger has been sharp tonight.
It really has. In order to be effective, it's almost always out of the strike zone. Down.
Up and in. Just got a piece to stay alive. Mentioned that Lincecum is 5'11". As a freshman in high school, he was 4'11", 85 pounds. 85. That's why some stayed away from Lincecum with his lack of height. Not a big guy, but he has been nasty over the years. And there it is again, out of the zone, what you talked about. Jay chases back-to-back strikeouts in 4 tonight.
Alan Craig on the splitter, about ankle high, and the same with John Jay. It is a tough pitch for a catcher to handle because it's going to be down. Good play by Sanchez.
And it's up to Descalso. Played at St. Francis High School in Mountain View, California. And a ground ball hit to the right side. Lincecum pitches out of a 4th inning jam. Bases loaded, nobody out. Lincecum against Alan Craig. Strikeout number 3. Then John Jay, the splitter. Strikeout number 4. And the ground out by Descalso. Cardinals strand, the bases loaded. You can learn more at goldstarpins.org. And this helps families of fallen service members. Along with Tim McCarver and Jim Hayes, Dan McLaughlin with you as the Cardinals waste a golden opportunity. The bases loaded and nobody out. Talking there with Tim Hudson, who was very good 2 days ago, but Giants came up short. They were swept by Cincinnati in a 4-game series. First time since '96 they had been swept here at home, and it's the first 4-game series that they've been swept at here at AT&T Park. Hunter Pence flied to left first time up. There's a strike at the knees, 1-1.
A situation where even a double play scores 1 run.
Exactly.
You know, you probably look back if someone had hit it into a double play and say that was bad, but now you're looking at it and saying, hey, at least you had a marker up there if that were to happen.
1-2 the count. Pence here, then Posey and Sandoval. Off-speed pitch. The changeup, he left it up. And a base hit through the box into center field.
That's pretty good hitting by Hunter Pence, however. Ball was up a little bit, but it was away. And Pence stayed with it. Perhaps the most unusual player in the major leagues. You know, the one thing that Hunter doesn't get a lot of credit for is his durability. His 255th game in a row. That's the most for any active player.
You watch him run ugly. You watch him throw really ugly. But then you look at results, outstanding.
He can beat you in all the things that he looks bad in.
Yeah, exactly. And they say he's a tremendous teammate, too.
He's a bad motor scooter. That became a cause celeb here in San Francisco.
That's right.
His electric scooter that he drove to the ballpark had it stolen outside a restaurant, and then it was returned a couple of days later.
Hunter Pence was in Houston. At one point they had Pence, they had Michael Bourne. They had some pieces to build around.
True.
And they decided to gut that team. He went to Philly, then came over for the Giants a couple years ago in their World Series run. And the 0-2 is pulled fair down into the corner. Pence digging for third. Good speed. He'll score. Buster Posey makes it 1-0.
Hunter Pence flying around the bases. That ball was very, very close down the left field line, a couple of inches fair. Pence scores easily in the first run of the ball game.
And Tim, again, it comes with two strikes.
That's about an inch fair. Yeah, with 2 strikes, right.
0-2 on Posey. Now Pablo Sandoval, who's singled to right.
Yeah, that fastball inside when the count's 0-2 or 1-2. If you miss, you want to miss inside, not miss out over the plate.
And it was the 4th inning for Gonzalez in Colorado, in which the Rockies batted around, gave up his 5 runs. And Sandoval hits a high fly ball deep left field. Craig back, leaps, it's gone. 2-run homer.
That was a high fastball out of the strike zone. That is the first home run for Pablo Sandoval in 29 days.
That's the 78th home run hit by the Giants. Their third in their past 12 games. So they're not hitting home runs either.
No.
Cardinals aren't, but all of a sudden Sandoval, one swing of the bat, makes it 3-0.
Watch where this pitch is. Fastball right around the letters.
From the bases loaded, nobody out, and then not scoring to trailing now 3-0.
That's a very good point, because I think Lincecum pitching out of that inning gave the Giants a little momentum with their best hitters coming up in the bottom half of the inning. Momentum comes in different forms.
He's one of the game's best, isn't he, Bruce Bochy?
Certainly is. Having a chat with Bruce before the game, when he holds his nose like that, he's really having a hearing problem. It's been exacerbated by airline flights. He said the one thing that it hasn't disrupted is a lot of loud hits, because we haven't been hitting lately.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. He had a good, he's got that great sense of humor, very low key.
That's ripped into right center field. Jay won't get to it. All the way to the wall. Morse will stop at second base. I think it's worth repeating, but again, the fourth inning was when he had his issues in Denver. Now the fourth inning here tonight.
Second time through the order.
Yeah.
Hanging curveball right here, and Morse hits it hard to right center field. Morse, a huge guy. I mean, he is a mountain of a man.
31 home runs with Washington back in 2011. Switch hitter Hector Sanchez. Almost as if he's just trying to punch it to the right side and advance Morse from second base. Nothing at 2.
Matt Adams way off the line at first.
Morse thought about advancing to third, stays put, 1-2. Marco, known as a ground ball pitcher in the minor leagues and in college. The ground ball rate right now in Major League Baseball, as high as it's been since they began tracking it. There's a strikeout. They started tracking the ground ball rate in 1987, and it's as high now as it's ever been. And the home run rate is down. It's the worst it's been since 1993. And really, offense across the board in Major League Baseball way down.
Boy, those are lucid numbers you just talked about. I mean, that is staggering.
A strikeout. Runner stays put at second. Now Crawford, who walked back into third. Fly ball, right field. Oscar Taveras makes the catch.
And you know, Dan, the Cardinals coming in and having that tough series in Los Angeles, a horrible June offensively, and it's small solace for Mike Matheny and his coaching staff to say, well, the Giants have been just as bad. It's that doesn't work with the guys.
No.
Mike says, I've got my own set of problems that we've got to straighten out. And Bruce Bochy saying the same thing. It's the nature of the beast.
Eighth place hitter here, Brandon Hicks. 0 for 1. (3-0) Giants. RBI double by Posey on an 0-2 pitch and a 2-run homer by Sandoval. Now you've got Lincecum on deck, and it looked like Mike Matheny had gestured toward Molina as if to say, hey, just be smart. And now it looks like they're just going to put him on. And they will. So this will be the second walk from Gonzalez, and they'll take their chances with Tim Lincecum. Reminder that the annual Fox Sports Midwest broadcast auction to benefit Cardinals Care is next Tuesday. Pirates will be in town. Fans can bid on all kinds of Cardinals experiences. Something new this year for $99.99. Fans can purchase a fan pack featuring a bobblehead replica ring, 2 game tickets. Lincecum with runners at first and second. Just past the halfway point of the season. The Brewers, who finished 23 games out of first place last year, started play today ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals by 6.5. They fell tonight to Toronto. Drew Hutchinson retired the first 14. He struck out 10. Blue Jays beat Milwaukee 4-1. Fastball and a strike. The Pirates at 3 in the bottom of the 9th against Arizona, and they won 3-2. Don't look now. Here comes Cincinnati. Here comes Pittsburgh. Pirates 1 game back of St. Louis. Two and two the count. And that's taken on. Count runs full on Lincecum. And the base runners off with this next pitch. Pitches here in the 4th inning for Marco Gonzalez. 4 consecutive hits. The strikeout, the flyout, a walk. Now 3-2 on Lincecum. If anything, he's making them work.
Sure.
These fans are ready to erupt again.
Yeah, if you're Marco Gonzalez, just try and outlast him.
Yeah.
See Oscar Taveras looking at John Jay in center field. You know what kind of pitch you're going to give him, so you might as well move with Jay. Step or two to your right. You know it's going to be a fastball away from the previous pitches. Yeah, Jay keeps moving more into left center field. And Oscar should really, it's almost like that pulley rope, just pull him with you.
Yeah. If he turns on a pitch, there is a huge gap in right center. Biggest part of the ballpark is the 421 sign, which is just over the shoulder of the right shoulder of Oscar Taveras. And a ground ball. Adams flips to Gonzalez, who steps on the bag. The Giants pick up 3. 3-0 as we enter the 5th. Nothing. Top of 5 rolls in. It's Gonzalez, Carpenter, and Taveras. Cardinals with 3 hits tonight. Sandoval moments ago with a home run, a 2-run shot. His 10th of the year, up to 36 RBIs, and an RBI double by Buster Posey to bring in Pence, his 41st ribby. A 3-0 lead for the Giants. Gonzalez to second. 1 away. Well, Tim Lincecum no-hits the Padres twice. Addie Joss, name of a Hall of Famer you may not know, but he no-hit the same team twice. He was pitching for Cleveland. He threw a perfect game against the White Sox in 1908, no-hitter in 1910. Now, there is a Hall of Fame tie-in to Addie Joss to St. Louis. Late, great Bob Bray. There's a strike to Carpenter. Warren Giles was then the chairman of the Hall of Fame Veterans Committee. He pointed out to Bragg that induction into the Hall required 10 seasons of play. Well, Addie Joss gets sick spring training of his 10th season, so technically does not have a full 10 years of play, and yet they bypassed that, and Bragg spearheaded the effort to get Addie Joss into the Hall of Fame.
That's a great story. I didn't know that.
So technically, career lasted fewer than 10 years, but he gets in.
Ralph Kiner's career lasted exactly 10 years. Hit 369 home runs in 10 years. Left because of sciatic nerve problems. And he was on the cusp there for a while because of that 10-year rule.
Right.
and eventually made it in.
Christy Mathewson, the other Giant that has thrown multiple no-hitters. It's 17 seasons with the New York Giants, 373 wins. Wow. 373. The Christian gentleman is what they called him. Wouldn't pitch on Sundays due to his Christian beliefs.
Educated at Columbia, I believe, in New York. Right?
Correct. That's right. Cy Young had 511 wins. Walter Johnson 417. Alexander and Christy Mathewson 373.
He was trusted so he at one time lived with his manager, Frank McGraw. It's Frank McGraw. No. I can't think. John McGraw. John McGraw. Frankly, it's John.
A liner into left center, and that drops in for a base hit. So Carpenter on base for the second time to go along with a walk. Cardinals score 6, get any size drink it on the run, just 50 cents. The next day, keep the savings going all summer long. $5 sandwich, chips, and drink meal deals. See store for details at your nearest On the Run. Oscar Taveras is 0 for 2. He struck out. That was back in the first and grounded out to second. And a fastball for a strike. Before his call-up, the initial call-up, he was hitting .324 with 7 home runs. Went down for 13 games after being called up. Hit .291 with 9 RBIs. Not sure what else he can accomplish at AAA.
No, you're right.
You know, it's getting close to where you say his time is now, and maybe you make some moves to clear certain guy. I mean, they have a surplus of outfielders right now. It's not just at the major league level, it's at AAA. Even it trickles down to AA. Some of the players that they think need to be pushed up to AAA. So
what more can Oscar do?
Exactly.
I mean, he led the league in hitting in 2011, then advanced a classification. He led the league in hitting 2012. The time is now.
He's been healthy.
Yep.
This year. 3-1. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they, meaning they, Mike Matheny, John Mozeliak, coaching staff, figure out playing time for everyone. You know, you've got Holiday. There are the numbers for Oscar Taveras. You've got John Jay, who's been in a somewhat of a platoon in center field with Borges. You have a right fielder in Craig, who's in left tonight. You've got Adams, who may sit at times. Then you could put Craig at first, but they will have to be creative. There's no doubt.
Well, it seems to me that one of the left-handers is going to have to play against the left-hander occasionally.
That's right.
Either Taveras or Adams.
Matt has 3 home runs on this trip. 2 of the 3 have been against left-handed pitching. Runner goes on the 3-2, and that ball is fair. So Posey steps on the bag for the out. Taveras is hitless tonight in 3 at-bats.
That was not the first base umpire's call. That's the interesting thing. Between home plate and the first base bag should be the home plate umpire's call. And Posey actually had his left foot in foul territory when he fielded the ball. So that should not have been Lance Barrett's call, but Ed Hickok's, the home plate umpire's call. Once it goes past first, of course, it becomes the first base umpire's call. Same with third base. But I'm not too sure about that ball.
Now Peralta with 2 outs. Johnny doubled back in the 4th. Popped out to second. As the guys are saying back home in the studio, it's potentially the 20th consecutive inning without a run for the Cardinals. And we mentioned the durability of the right fielder Hunter Pence. How about the durability here of Tim Lincecum? Another guy that every fifth day is on the bump. And you go back to when they won their last World Championship, 2012. He was moved to the bullpen.
That's right. He started one game of the 6 games that he was in. 2 in the Division Series, 2 in the League Championship Series, and 2 in the World Series.
Bruce Bochy said, and he became a valuable member of that bullpen.
He did.
He said, you know, it wasn't an easy decision to take a guy that's won 2 Cy Young Awards and say, well, we think you're best in the bullpen.
Right.
But he accepted it, no complaints, and pitched really well in postseason play. Two balls, 2 strikes.
It's one of those lines and one of those quotes that you rarely hear from a manager. Bruce Bochy saying that Lincecum was a team man. You don't usually hear that about pitchers. Now, some are more than others, but it's such an individual position. I mean, nothing starts until their action.
3-2.
That was close, that last pitch. Right at the knees.
Back end of game, Sergio Romo has been removed as the everyday closer for Bruce Bochy, so Jeremy Affeldt will get a chance along with Romo at times. Strikeout of Peralta. 5 tonight for Tim Lincecum as Johnny just throws the bat. Midway through 5, Giants on top. Budweiser, Adam Wainwright will go tomorrow. Ryan Vogelsong, who's been good against St. Louis, he's 5-4. Wainwright 10-4. You know, Tim, against LA, the only starter to survive into the 6th was Adam Wainwright. Threw a complete game and lost.
Lost 1-0.
But that's the way things have been going.
Yep.
The top of the lineup against Gonzalez. And the first pitch lifted in the air out to left center field. Drops in for a base hit. And Perez is 1 for 3 tonight. The last inning started with a base hit, and here we go again.
Yeah, that pitch was similar to the pitch that Pablo Sandoval hit for the home run. Right around the letters, up, middle of the plate.
4 of the 5 innings now, the leadoff man has gotten on for the Giants. So Gonzalez has been pitching out of the stretch basically all night. It's a changeup to Pence, and he lined it to center to get things going back in the fourth, which was a 3-run inning for the Giants.
Pence, anything but pensive.
He made coffee nervous. Anything but pensive. You know, I watch him and I think, well, how did he get to this point? I mean, clearly he puts up good numbers. But if you were going to, let's say, a tryout camp, or you're watching him play in high school and you're seeing the way he runs, he throws from his hip. Now, he did have an arm injury. He was a pitcher at one point, and that's why he throws the way he does. But, I mean, there's just nothing smooth about it, but yet the numbers at the end of the year are terrific.
Teammates kid him about how high he wears his pants. Whatever he does works, as we said earlier. I mean, he almost wears his pants.
It's above the knee.
At the top of the knee.
Yeah.
Instead of having the bones in the knee to prevent the pants from coming up any higher, it's like he's working out instead of playing in a real game. Very, very vocal back in 2012 when he preached to the guys, saying he did not want to go home. And he was traded that year from Philadelphia to the Giants.
Into left center. And Perez on his way to third as Craig fell down, it looked like. He'll score 4-0 San Francisco.
You know, Dan, before the game, you picked up on that outfield saying it looks like there were a couple of concerts held out there, that there's some loose turf, and that may have been what happened to Alan Craig when trying for that ball hit by Hunter Pence, as Perez scores easily.
Cardinals get activity now in the pen as Seth Maness is up and throwing.
Nope, it was not the turf's fault. Allen ranging far to his left, but an error on Craig.
Jay was backing up, and Posey is going to get a sac fly out of that because Pence read that properly. John Jay did not have his momentum coming forward. Pence took a little glimpse at it, and advancing on the play was Hunter Pence.
Yeah, he's a guy who would take advantage of something like that. When an outfielder catches the ball going back or back on his heels like Jay just did, and in fairness to John, I think the wind had something to do with that, moving that ball back a little bit. And now the Cards will have to bring their infielders in.
And a pitch down and into Sandoval, who's 2 for 2.
That's the thing about Hunter Pence taking third. When you're ahead, you take more chances on the bases.
So Maness, the right-hander, continuing to throw in the pen.
You know, Dan, I said there was an error on Alan Craig. I think Pence has been given credit for a double and an RBI. I thought it was an error on Craig, but
I did too.
Not that big a deal.
Which would have been his first error as an outfielder in his career. There's a pitch taken high by Sandoval. He's on base for the third time. Michael Morse is bounced into a double play and double to right center. It's already 4-0. Matheny sticking with the lefty. And that's fouled back. I could see Mike going either direction in this particular instance because he's already gotten him to bounce into a double play. He has a good changeup, maybe get him out in front, get the double play. But if you pulled him here, you've got Mr. Ground Ball warming up in the bullpen, which is Seth Maness. Inside, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Fastball inside to make that outside changeup look less inviting. When he grounded to that double play in the 2nd inning.
Runners at the corners and a 1-1 pitch. Three and one. Three and two the count on Morse. Inning started with a single by Perez, double by Pence. Posey, the fly ball to center to advance Pence from second to third. Now 3-2 pitch to Michael Morse. Runner goes and he walked him. That may be it. Seth Maness will come on with the bases loaded and 1 out. Hector Sanchez, a switch hitter, due up. Oh, 4-0 for St. Louis. Bases loaded, 1 out. Hector Sanchez, the catcher and a switch hitter, who's 0 for 2 tonight, will face Seth Maness. The game shifted, Tim. I don't think there's any question about it. Bases loaded, nobody out. Cardinals don't score. bottom half, the Giants do.
2 strikeouts and a ground ball to second base. Bases loaded, nobody out. And the Giants could smell the blood at the bottom half of the inning. Sandoval, big 2-run home run.
Strike by Maness to Sanchez.
Can't do anything about what's already happened. You look for the double play right here and move on. It's hard to do, but that's the way your thinking's got to be.
Broken bat, and they'll get 1. Run scores to make it 5-0. Crawford has walked and flied out. Well, he got the ground ball. The pitch broke the bat of Sanchez, and only play for Descalso was to get the shore out at first.
It's one of those situations where you break a bat, you go back to the dugout, everybody shakes your hand for breaking a bat.
Right. And there's another ground ball. Descalso will put it away. The Giants add to their lead. They had 3 in the 4th, 2 more here in the 5th, and a 5-run lead as we head to the 6th. Cardinals earlier in this game. It's happened 54 times this season. Then that next half inning, the opponent scored 13 times. So the momentum has shifted. They've scored 24% of the time after what you would think would produce at least a run, if not more. And that is the difference in your game so far tonight.
Yeah. Let's come getting out of that top of the 4th, and the Giants roaring back and scoring 3 in the bottom half.
Now Matt Adams to start the 6th. Cardinals have 4 hits. That's off the end of the bat. Sandoval, 1 away. Hilton St. Louis Ballpark welcomes their newest neighbor, Ballpark Village. Perfect ending to a day or night at Ballpark Village. The Cardinals win and a stay at Hilton St. Louis Ballpark. Number to call, 421-1776 or HiltonSt.Louis.com.
We were in Denver last Wednesday when Lincecum was working on that no-hitter against San Diego. And I couldn't tell, but I would be really surprised if someone told me that Lincecum had better stuff on the Wednesday than he has tonight.
Yeah. Everything is working for him
man.
tonight, and that's what they said has been an issue with him this year. You know, he's got great stuff, clearly.
Right.
When right. And They said the other day his previous start, it all was working. There's a diving stop by Sandoval. The high throw. The tag applied to Molina for the out. Well, Sandoval knew he had time with Molina running, and you blow a bubble, make a diving stop, and then make the play.
Throw into the baseline. Good play by Posey to come down with it. We talked about how good an athlete Lincecum is. Talk about Sandoval. He's not only a switch hitter, he's a switch thrower. He throws right-handed and left-handed with equal aplomb.
Does he really?
Yes, he does. He stood from home plate here at AT&T Park and threw a ball into the bay in right field. McCovey Cove. That is correct. Left-handed.
Wow.
That's a fact.
Deep right, and the catch made by Pence on the run. May not look pretty, but you'll take the results. He's an outstanding player. Matt Adams grounded to third. Then it was Molina with his diving stop, and Pence tracking it down in right center. Welcome back. Along with Tim McCarver, Dan McLaughlin, Jim Hayes is also with us, and Manus in relief of Marco Gonzalez. He came in, bases loaded, one out back in the fifth inning, last inning, and was able to get a pair of ground outs. A run did score that was charged to Gonzalez, who lasted 4 1/3. What a play moments ago by Hunter Pence.
Had two good plays in that inning. 3 up, 3 down for the Cardinals, but the play that Sandoval made and then the play Hunter Pence made.
I got to go back to something you were saying.
Okay.
Sandoval standing at the plate. It's hard enough to throw it naturally right-handed over the wall.
Right.
He does it with his left hand.
He did it. He has done it with his left hand. He's a natural left-hander.
I didn't realize
He's
that.
a natural left-hander and became a right-handed thrower at the age of 9.
That is amazing.
It's pretty remarkable.
It really is.
I mean, when you have the strength to throw it out of the ballpark here down the right field line, that's pretty remarkable.
Nice round of applause for Tim Lincecum. Another sellout here tonight. Crowd of 41,152. 41152. Matchup tomorrow is Wainwright, who is first in wins in the National League. He's second in ERA. Opponents hitting under 200 against him. Vogelsong, a right-hander for the Giants. And then Thursday does not get any easier for the Cardinals. They've got what might be the Giants' best pitcher, and that's saying something. But Madison Bumgarner has turned into an outstanding pitcher.
He's their money man. You're right.
Carlos Martinez will go for St. Louis.
Yeah, this weak stretch on the coast. I mean, the Cardinals are not going well offensively. That is clear. But the pitchers that they've run into, ooh, wicked.
See the frustration with Molina as Wainwright talks it over with Gonzalez, and that is ball four. Lincecum did not realize it, and a walk. Giants have received 5 walks in this ball game. AT&T fan photo. And we turn to Juan Perez back to the top of the lineup. 1 for 3 tonight with a single to left center. And a double play ball. Manus gets the double play, sends us to the 7th, and it's 5-0 Giants. It's rolling along. 5-run lead. Tim McCarver, Dan McLaughlin, and Jim Hayes with you, our entire Fox Sports Midwest crew. John Jay will lead it off for St. Louis. 21 consecutive scoreless innings for the Cardinals. Beckett Friday night, Lincecum tonight. We had sandwich between the two. Kershaw on Sunday. I mean, Tim, this is about as tough as it gets.
It certainly is.
Koufax, Drysdale, Marichal,
Perry.
Yeah.
Reminds me, earlier you said that Tim Lincecum's from Bellevue, Washington. That is also the home of Ray Washburn.
Oh, is
an
it really?
ex-right-hander, yes.
Grounder hit to Crawford, and he makes the play.
And it was Ray Washburn who, after Gaylord Perry no-hit the Cardinals in 1968, the game after the Cardinals had clinched the pennant in Houston, took a flight, off day, Tuesday night. Gaylord Perry no-hit the Cardinals, and less than 24 hours later, Ray Washburn came back to no-hit the Giants at Candlestick. It was really I mean, 2 no-hitters in less than 24 hours.
Amazing.
It really is.
And this is not to take away from Tim Lincecum's no-hitter. I mean, these
not
are,
at all. No, add to it.
There's a drive into right. Pence is there. But to no-hit the same team twice in less than a calendar year. Now, the Padres have had their issues offensively this year, but you would think, you know, facing a team second time through, or certainly in this case, teams that are in the West, they're going to see you an awful lot over the years. It's tough to do. As Jason Mott gets loose, Shane Robinson will be the pinch hitter for Manus. What an interesting career it's been, though, when you think about Tim Lincecum with 2 Cy Young Awards, 2 no-hitters. He's won 2 World Championships, been a part of them.
And yet, coming into tonight, his career record only 95 and 75.
Crawford, wow, what a play.
He can play.
Great play by Brandon Crawford. Cy Young Awards for the Freak. Time to stretch. Starter for the Cardinals, it's Gonzalez tonight, 4 1/3. Taveras hitless in 3 at-bats in his call-up from the minor leagues. Lincecum is rolling. Pablo Sandoval, a 2-run homer. That was back in the 4th. And now it's Jason Mott, our Chevy, called to the pen. Now, you go back to Gonzalez's start in Colorado back on the 25th. Cardinals bullpen has thrown 3 or more innings in every game, with the exception of Wainwright's start, as Hunter Pence grounds to 3rd. So that's also something to keep an eye on. The usage of this bullpen shouldn't be a big deal coming off an off day yesterday, but moving forward, it's something to keep an eye on.
Less of a problem, I think, because of the cool air here in San Francisco.
Sure.
You don't have the muggy weather of St. Louis, but returning to St. Louis for Friday night's game, and you do have to keep an eye on it.
Now Buster Posey, a double on an 0-2 pitch back in the 4th. That would score Hunter Pence and got it all going. The cutter misses low and away. Outstanding talent, Buster Posey. Played at Florida State, one of the top programs in the country. He was a shortstop in college.
Played all 9 positions, I believe.
Yes, he did.
1 year.
Puts the ball in play. Hit to short. The stretch by Adams. His big toe was on the bag. That's my guess.
Right big toe.
The right big toe. Here's Pablo Sandoval. Well, he's been busy diving to his left. Made a good play to take a hit away from Yadier Molina. The home run that he hit earlier as well. I've always found him to be an intriguing player, clearly.
Yeah, I think he's an intriguing guy, too.
Yeah.
He's very bright. From Venezuela. Had an eating disorder.
Fly ball into right. Taveras makes the catch. We'll follow up on that when we come back.
All righty.
8th inning will roll in. Good work by Mott. Giants on top, 5-0. Let's go to our studio and a Bomberitos Sports Update with Pat Perez. Okay, thanks, guys. The BJC Healthcare difference maker, Pablo Sandoval, and he's 2 for 3 tonight. Tim, you were talking about some of the issues that he's had in the past.
Yeah, actually had an eating disorder, and he dedicated. See that tattoo on his left forearm? That's dedicated to preventing the eating disorder from going further. It's a very, very serious problem, not only from a business standpoint in the Giants, but to keep Pablo healthy. And that tattoo, I'm not much with tattoos and everything. I wasn't from the generation of tattoos, so I'm understanding of them, but not big on that. But, you know, for a reminder like Pablo has right there, every time he looks at his forearm, he's reminded of his eating problems, and it's worked very favorably for him.
It's pulled foul by Matt Carpenter, and that's, as you said, you know, business-wise, that's something you do think about as Gregor Blanco takes over and left. And what we mean by that is that if you're the Giants, you're Brian Sabian, you're saying, well, we have a very good player here, a switch hitter, puts up good numbers, had a tremendous World Series 2 years ago.
3 home runs against the Detroit Tigers in Game 1, 2 off Verlander.
A popular player.
Oh, yeah.
But if there are issues in which he'd get too big, can't move, can't swing, can't hit, not productive.
That's right.
You're not going to invest millions in that player.
Right.
Here's a 2-2 pitch. And Carpenter skies one to Blanco. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service celebrating 12 years. You can join the millions of subscribers which watch every out-of-market game live online or in true HD. Find out more at Cardinals.com. Oscar Taveras, 0 for 3. Brian Sabean, you think about why the Giants have won. Consistency in the dugout, consistency in their front office.
Yes.
Just part of the reason why they won. And when Brian Sabean was named the general manager, and you may remember this, Tim, but he came in after 3 losing seasons in 1997. One of the first things he did was he got Kirk Reeder, who is a Southern Illinois native, not too far away from St. Louis. And a very controversial move at the time was that he traded Matt Williams. Matt Williams went to Cleveland.
Very popular player here, too.
Absolutely. And they got back Jeff Kent, Jose Vizcaino, Julian Tavares, and $1 million in cash. They then took that $1 million and offered a contract to Darrell Hamilton. He came in. They traded then for J.T. Snow. And so he changed the complexion in one offseason of the franchise.
Great defensive first baseman.
No doubt. And the rest is history. We'll see JT at times in St. Louis. His dad, Jack Snow, passed away, but was a longtime broadcaster with the Rams. Julian Tavares had some good seasons in St. Louis as Tavares draws a 1-out walk. But it is amazing. Sometimes you take that chance. Not always is it going to work out, but it takes guts to be a GM. And he rolled the dice, changed the complexion of this franchise, and the rest is history.
Right. Well, you think of all the young pitchers the Cardinals have promoted in the bullpen. I mean, Trevor Rosenthal last year had 3 saves during the year, and all of a sudden he becomes the savior in postseason play.
Right. Cardinals, John Mozeliak, it's about a month to go. And you look at this team where they're at right now, and they have a couple of things that people want. Young talent and financial security in terms of knowing cost certainty, be the better way to put it, knowing what they may have in the future with certain players. So,
and tying up so many of their players on the roster with contracts that are doable.
Right. So if they want to be aggressive, certainly they could be.
Yes.
Bochy and Sabean have been together for 8 years. Dave Righetti has been here, it seems like, forever.
15 years.
Yep. Tim Flannery was with Bruce Bochy, his third base coach. They were together in San Diego. Pitch number 111 from Lincecum on 2-2. And Peralta strikes out. 6 tonight for Tim Lincecum.
It was very warm this past homestand. I remember seeing the shots of the Cardinal players that went to Children's Hospital in St. Louis. And it's also heartwarming to know what Tim Flannery has done for Brian Stowe. Timmy is a musician, third base coach for the Giants. And Brian Stowe was that maniacal beating he took in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium. And he needs medical care, and everything that Tim Flannery has done in performing with his band, all the money goes to Brian Stowe. It's one of the really, truly warm, nice things that somebody can do for another human being.
I think he's produced, what, 11 albums? Is that right?
I think that's right, yeah. And not one penny has gone to him. All of it's gone to Stowe.
Catch made by Pence. Tim Flannery, so popular in San Diego, now popular here in San Francisco. Line, the perfect beer for whatever happens. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Beautiful night here at AT&T Park. That's a look at the McCovey statue. A few moments ago, Tim Lincecum, his night is through, and a big hug from Pablo Sandoval. Randy Choate, new pitcher for St. Louis, in our Chevy call to the pen. 32nd appearance for Randy. He'll get Morse. Blanco, Sanchez, and Crawford. Matt Cain pitched a perfect game this ballpark, and it was Blanco who made that catch. They'll remember forever here. It was an unbelievable play to save the perfect game in right center field. Took over and left for Michael Morse, who's been battling the flu and other ailments. There's a look at Matt Cain.
Gregor Blanco's play for Matt Cain was similar to Dwayne Wise's play for Mark Burley of the White Sox several years ago in his perfect game.
That catch was at the wall in left center, bobbled it, saved it, I think, from going over the wall.
I do too. In a perfect game, you talk about a perfect setting for a perfect play. That was it. And he'd just come in for defense, of all things.
The ball will find you.
Oh, man, will it ever. That little white rat.
4 straight to Blanco.
It can be 5 1/3 ounces of misery at times.
Bet. Mark Burley now with Toronto, and it's funny how things can change in a year. Toronto, beginning of last season, predicted to win the East. They were everybody's favorite. Then this year, everybody said, well, they're not that good. Now they lead the East. You just never know.
You just don't know. Entering tonight's play, a game in front of Baltimore. Baltimore losing Matt Wieters for the season, for crying out loud, and still in there. I think Buck Showalter's an excellent manager.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, he is good. And you know, he's the type of guy who has learned. He's learned to give a little when he had to. He's learned a lot about himself. He's told me that. A lot about himself as a manager, as a person. And I think that's very important to have that self-analysis of your job.
You think about that game that the Yankees had in 1995 when he was the manager against Seattle. Nice piece of hitting to go the other way. Hector Sanchez. Runners at first and second. But a base hit, Ken Griffey Jr. scoring to win that series against New York. After that, Don Mattingly's career, done. After that, Buck Showalter, done. Joe Torre comes in 96, and the rest is history. He set up the Arizona Diamondbacks. Showalter did too. Remember?
Sure.
They were a team that was under his control in many ways before they ever played a major league game.
That's right, in their genesis.
Here's Brandon Crawford. There's a good pitch from Choate.
Joe Torre would not be going into the Hall of Fame at the end of this month were it not for the opportunity to get a job with the New York Yankees as the second choice. The first choice was Buck Showalter.
Right.
He had had enough of George Steinbrenner. Joe Torre knew George Steinbrenner and became the Yankee manager, and in 5 years won 4 world championships.
Mike Matheny visited with Joe Torre this past weekend in Los Angeles. One of the things they wanted to talk about was just a clarification on home plate collisions, which, when you think about it, there are 2 guys, really 3, in this game and in this ballpark tonight that were significant in that move. One, Buster Posey, really brought that issue front and center.
Right.
And then Bruce Bochy was very adamant about trying to change the collision rule. Obviously, Mike Matheny pushing it as well.
Sure.
Now, it's easy for me to say this. I like seeing collisions. Now, I'm not the guy that has to stand there and take it. You being a former catcher, I'm not sure.
I understand that part of it. I understand I don't think Mike Scioscia has forgiven baseball for it right now.
Sure.
I think he still wants that reinforced.
Right.
I don't have anything against it because, you know, even from a fan standpoint, I mean, we were taught differently. The game was played differently. And, I mean, you were taught how to protect yourself at home plate, how to protect home plate, how to take the base away from it, give him a little bit, then take it away from him.
There's a double play, 4-6-3.
I mean, all of the training that I received and that catchers received over the last 50 years. Good pitch to Crawford, and he grounds into a 4-6-3 double play. I mean, all that training's gone.
Yeah.
Now, even guys who were trained 10 years ago, they can't use that training anymore because the rules have changed.
Yep. And that was the other thing that Mike, a rule change, wanted to talk to Joe Torre about. Mike's really been frustrated. I think a lot of managers, John Farrell, especially in Boston, I think was the first to really come out and say, I'm not sure, this is Brandon Hicks, if replay is working the way that we all thought it was going to work. And Mike's been frustrated by seeing some plays that have not been overturned that he thought should have been. There were easy calls for those watching in New York. And so there's been some frustration with it, some growing pains on both sides.
Certainly the time. I mean, that's my biggest
the disruption
squabble
in the game.
Yeah, the disruption of the flow of the game, and that was one of the reasons given for not having replay to begin with.
Right. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I think baseball is trying. It's got a ways to go. Not a long way to go, maybe, but a ways to go.
Cardinals have used tonight Gonzalez for 4 1/3, then Manus. We've seen Jason Mott. Now Randy Choate. The 1-2 pitch. This is where Choate has his issues. You know, he's a lefty specialist that tops out at 84 miles an hour. So right-handers, they can have a field day on Randy. Lefties, he's tough.
He drops down to left-handed hitters, and you don't drop down to right-handed hitters. They see the ball better.
The Giants picked up 3 back in the 4th inning, then 2 more in the 5th. That knocked out Gonzalez, and it's a 5-run lead, the home half of the 8th. "3-2" popped up, and Choate will get out of the inning unscathed. Catch made by Peralta. Bruce Bochy trying to turn things around with his Giants. Tonight's a good start. They lead at 5-0. innings, 4 hits. He struck out 6, no runs. The Cardinals 23 consecutive innings without a run. This is Gene Machi, a Chevy called to the pen, and his 36th appearance. And he'll get Yadier Molina to start the 9th inning. The bullpen for the Giants, they have had their issues. Last 16 innings, they've given up 13 runs.
13 earned runs. That's right. Well, again, coming into tonight's game, we talked about how there's small solace in realizing the other team has problems too.
Right.
That won't cut it.
That's up the middle, and a diving stop. Great effort by Hicks up the middle, and a base hit for Molina, on base for the second time. He was hit by a pitch back in the 4th.
Boy, from his belly making this play. Trickling over to first base. You have to admire Brandon Hicks' effort there.
Tim,
infield hit for Molina.
Excuse me. You
Sure.
hit on something that is exactly right. For us in the media, we look at both teams. We say, well, this guy's struggling and this team is not doing this. But inside that dugout, they could care less what the Giants are doing, and the Giants could care less what's happening with the Cardinals.
Absolutely true.
Craig looks at a ball, and right now both managers are trying to figure out a way to jumpstart their teams. I think for Mike Matheny, from the Cardinals' perspective, you say, well, you got Wainwright going tomorrow. You get back home over the weekend where the Cardinals will get away from Kershaw and Beckett and Lincecum, and you're back home in front of 40,000 plus, which you would think makes a difference.
Maybe the stomach becomes unknotted.
Yeah.
Maybe. Depends on what happens tomorrow night and the next day against two tough pitchers.
This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cardinals. Here's John Jay, hitless tonight. As the runner was going, that's Molina. That's hit out of play. No balls and 2 strikes.
It's funny how when things are going well, you can't wait to get to the ballpark. I mean, you can't wait. You can't wait. Nothing is work. Everything's fun. And when it flips over, the other side of that is I have to go to the ballpark.
Some long nights.
Oh, man.
Crawford, nice play again. Boy, the middle infield of the Giants has really played well. You had a diving stop by Sandoval at third. You had a ball that was caught by Pence in right center. They've done everything right tonight. Tim Lincecum is our Budweiser player of the game. No surprise there. 8 innings, 4 hits, strikes out 6, walks 2. 2 outs, runner at second. In steps Descalso. Milwaukee lost earlier tonight, so the Cardinals will stay 6.5 back of the Brewers. What's been frustrating, too, for the Giants is the fact they have not played well at home. They've dropped 12 of their last 14 here at this ballpark.
Right. Sometimes there is no cure for a lack of hitting. No ballpark will cure it. Dodgers on top. Giants a half game back coming in.
Looking to finish off game number 1 of this 3-game series. The 0-2. Fly ball lifted out to left. They should do it. The Cardinals are shut out. 24 consecutive innings they've gone without scoring a run. 5-0 our final tonight.
Well, the what ifs or the post-mortems of a game like this. What if the Cardinals score and break through in the top of the 4th? Bases loaded, nobody out. They didn't do it, and the Giants responded with 3 runs of their own in the bottom of the 4th inning.
In that inning, they had Craig, Jay, Descalso, bases loaded, nobody out. They do not score. Marco Gonzalez takes the loss. Lincecum his 7th win. Stay with us. The postgame comes your way next. Missouri Lottery Cardinals live. Our final, the Giants 5, Cardinals, nothing.